Hi everyone, today I'm going to do you a really nice demo. I'm going to do you a demo of the rainforest. What I've done is I've started off, I've painted the bottom part just with black gesso. Once I've done that, I've let that dry, and then I put liquid white on the top part of this canvas, and then also on the bottom part of the canvas I've put this colour over the liquid clear. I put liquid clear on the black gesso, and then I put this lovely lavender colour over the top of that. And then what I've done is I've just blended that up, because I know that I'm going to want to blend that up. So basically what I've done is I've mixed a pile of this dark colour here, and to make this dark pile I've used phthalo blue, alizarin crimson and midnight black. Basically, might put a small touch of Van Dyke brown in with that as well, just so it's not too bright. And then what I've done, I've mixed all that really well together in a dark pile, and then as you can see I've got 4 different grades of that same colour, going from very dark to a bit lighter still, and then to very light. So we need all these shades for this, because in here is going to be a lot of shadows and stuff like that. So let's get on with it. Just going to use a little 2-inch brush, and I'm going to, in fact I'm going to use that brush, I'm going to use, just for now, I'm going to use one of these round brushes. And I'm just going to tap straight into a smidgen amount of yellow ochre. And I'm just going to stain the bristles with that yellow ochre. You can't really see that, but you can see how little there is on there. There's a very small amount on that. So with that yellow, just because there's going to be a glow of the sun coming from up here, I'm just going to apply some of that yellow. Just straight yellow ochre on the brush, but you can see how small an amount I've used. Such a tiny amount. Just want a little tiny glow up there. Anyway, you can make it a little tiny bit brighter than you actually want it, because we're going to be blending this out, you see. So I'm just going to use that colour in there, blend a bit of it in there, drag it along, and then stop it about there. Bring a bit of it down into here, a bit of that yellow, just down into there. And then we'll start afresh. The sunshine is coming in at that angle, you see, so I'm going to tap this brush out now. See that? Just on a paper towel, just to clean out the excess, and then I can use that brush again. And then I'm just going to use my big blender brush. This is my baby, is this. I use this all the time. The majority of my blending is done with either this or my other blender brush, which is the Bob Ross blender brush, which is brilliant as well. Anyway, I'm just going to blend that out. Blend it out, nice and tight, so that it mixes with the liquid white really well. I don't want it to mix with this lavender colour too much. I just want it to show through underneath it. There? Quite a subtle effect, that's what I'm after. Just put that brush down for now. Just there. And I've got these 3 colours that I've mixed, so I'm just going to use a little 1-inch brush, a tiny little 1-inch brush, and I'm going to tap and just stain the bristles of the brush with the very lightest tone of this paint, the very, very lightest one. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come up in here, and I'm just going to use some of that colour just up in there. I'm going to blend it right out. This needs to be blended straight out, because this is going to be really misty up in here. I just want it to be really misty. There, just let it mix with that liquid white. There, that's it. Maybe tap a bit more colour in. Just here, in this part, there's an actual tree. Now, you can't see a tree all you can see is the mistiness of it. And that's going to just go up in there. Now all I'm doing at the minute is applying a bit of wispy colour, because I'm going to blend that right out. You won't believe how much I'm going to blend this. This is going to be really soft. You might not even be able to see it. It's going to be that soft. But that's what it's like in the rainforest with the mist. Matt Matchman, he asked me if I would do some misty scenes as well, so this is one for you as well, bud. This should teach you a lot. Really nice way of doing it. I'm just going to put a bit up in there, a bit of colour. And then once you put that bit of colour in, you can just come away from that. Just blend a little bit down in there. This is going to be the very background trees that are really distant and far away, basically. Maybe from the look of this, this tree goes right up to the edge of the canvas. There's this one, about there. That can be more or less blended out so you can't tell where it starts or where it stops. There, just some indications, really subtle. Just shadows in the background. You will see these though on the finished painting once we put all the foreground in. Just get a bit more of that colour on the brush, and then just up in here, I'm going to touch a bit of colour. And you can also put a bit just down in there. You make little circles. That'll make it look like bushes and stuff, or you can just use a crisscross stroke. I'm just going to bring that up to about there. And it's just, like I said, just a slight indication that there's something up there. Lovely. I love painting like this. These misty scenes are amazing. It's something that just turns me on every time I do them. Seriously, get me going. There's something just up in this top corner, so I'm just going to put a bit of colour just up in there. I hope you can see that. And then maybe just blend it down to like down here. Right, back to my blender brush again. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to blend all this together so it's nice and soft. Blend that out. Lovely. You want to try this one. This one is a very satisfying painting to do. I've done quite a few paintings of the rainforest, and each one that you do is totally individual, and that's the beauty of it. You don't get two scenes alike. There, so we've got them indications of the trees and the mist at the back. So I'm going to step back and have a look at that, because it's always good to have a step back. In fact, that can be slightly darker still. This main tree here that we've got will be just a little bit darker than it is. Just put a bit more colour in. Blend that back. Oh, as we're going down, right, I'm just going to take some of this colour. You notice that the liquid white is mixed with the colour on the brush. And I'm just going to apply a small amount of this colour just up in here at the base of these trees, just to make them slightly darker at the base, because that's usually the way trees go. Just slightly, no, not much, bit of colour. And then maybe a little bit in there. Just apply a bit more pressure and it'll come off more then. And then I'm back to my blender brush, where I can just go across that. And then where I've got them trees just up here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a tiny amount of paint thinner on the brush, and I'm going to go into this colour, which is the light mixture that I made, but I'm going to put white to it. The reason for that is I want it to be lighter, is that I'm using this as a raw colour now, and I'm putting thinners with it, and it tends to look darker when you put thinners with it, so that's why I've made it slightly lighter. A bit more white. I'm hoping that's going to be somewhere near. Twizzle it through the paint and get it to a really nice sharp point. And then with that, you might not be able to see this, but I do need to do it. I'm just going to, up in here, looking at my picture, I'm going to come and paint in some little sticks and twigs. In fact, I'm just going to need to be slightly darker, which is fine. Any that you don't want, all you have to do, you can just blend them out. There. Just little effects for tree trunks, that's all that is. Really basic, really simple. There's a few here that are a bit darker, just in this part here. So all I do is I start at the top and then I work my way down. That's a bit too light now because I'm coming forward a bit. It needs to be slightly darker again. Oh, even more dark than that. Get a bit more thinner just so that I can control this. I'm just going into my second pile. See that, which is the darker one. So that should give me what I'm after for this bush. I'm wanting this to be just a little bit darker than what's on the canvas already. Just so it stands out just. These effects have all got to be very, very subtle. You overdo it with this and make it too dark, it just won't work. It won't work at all. This needs to be so you can only just barely see it. And just a little bit of something going up there. Bring this trunk on down. Sometimes by bringing it from the light into the dark, you pull a bit of that liquid white through and you end up with the lighter trunk showing as well. Right, maybe just up in here, a few little things. I'm happy with that, that's good. Don't need too much, this is far, far away. It's like Shrek in the land of far, far away. No. Anyway, where are we? Let me think. Right, I'm going to go back to my filbert brush now. What we're going to start doing now, we're going to start doing the middle ground trees. These are all background trees that I've done there. Now I'm going to start doing the middle ground. So I'm going to use the second pile for this. See the second pile there? And I'm just going to tap into that. So I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to tap my brush into it. Now with this colour I'm going to actually put the smallest amount of sap green. Well, I would have done it if I'd have put any out, but I haven't. Right, I'll just put myself a little bit out. A bit of sap green. I'm just going to get the very smallest amount of sap green that you can imagine and then mix it with that colour and then tap into it. So it's like the same colour all the way through, but with this I'm just adding the slightest amount of green to it. Right then, I know that I might have some bushes here, So I'll just tap in there with this colour. If you want to see, you can always make it darker. And make sure you've got that green in there. That's all. I want it to be slightly darker. Just there. Just so it stands out a bit more. We're going to be misting all this back as well. So I want you to be aware of that. Referring to my picture that I'm doing, just to get ideas. I don't copy it exactly. I like to change things sometimes, you know, to improve on things. Move trees and move mountains. That's the good thing about painting. You create your own world. No one can invade this space of mine in here. Apart from you guys, but I don't mind that. That's great. And then back in there you can put a few little darker spots. This is why I misted this area out, because now we can put different layers of bushes and stuff and trees. I'm just going to get the general basic form of this by just tapping. I know that I want it darker, so I'm just going to again make it slightly darker. By doing this with the 4 piles of colour though, you can do this. You can always get the contrast that you want. It's about using the dark against the light. See, in there it's very dark, so sometimes it's a good idea. You can put some dark in, some dark areas, but don't overdo it, and then tap it back. Just gently tap it back so that it's varied. So I'm going to go back to that colour. Just in there. Just want it a bit darker so it stands out. These are little trees. These actually look like bushes, yeah, but these are trees. These are trees very far away. This tree, I'm just going to get a small amount of this dark colour. Again, I'm not getting a load of paint in the brush. And then I'm just going to come up in here, and just around here it's going to want to be a bit darker. This mist, just around this area. So I'm just going to blend some of that colour in there, just where I need it. It's going to stand out and show behind this tree is this. It's going to look like a tree in the mist. Now, like I said, I know a lot of these are very subtle, what I've been doing, but I think it's all going to start to pan out for you now. You'll start to see where I'm going with this. So, blend that out so that it goes from dark to light. These effects, I hope you can see them. I've zoomed in quite a bit for you so that you can see these effects. Now, I just want to blend just out down there a little bit. See, I've got one brush for blending and one brush for applying the colour. Now, I know that I want it to be a bit darker, just down in here, where this is. So, I'm just going to touch some of that colour in there, and then go back to my blender brush yet again, blend that out. Blend it out nice and soft. There's 2 ways you can blend these trees out. You can do them like I've been doing them with the crisscross strokes, which I like to use a combination of the 2. Or you can just use circles like this, just tiny circles with the top edge of the brush, just tiny little circles, and I want that to look like it's just going again from dark to light, just in there, so that it's looking like there's some misty bushes and stuff like that in there. Now this brush has got some more colour on it. Just up in this top corner here, I'm going to apply a tiny bit of that colour, and I'm just going to blend that down to there. Just in there it is. And that's again another little tree that's just out there in the mist. Really want to blend that out. In fact, I'm going to go to a clean brush now, just for this one here, because it's getting a bit too strong. I know you're probably thinking strong, it's not strong, but it is. It's got to be subtle as this. It's got to be very subtle. This is all the background. You notice where generally with wet on wet, or most landscape painting, you start off in very background distance, and then you work your way slowly forward. So I'm starting off with the very furthest things away now, and then what I'm thinking is, like, I put a bit of something very subtle there, and then there's a tree there, and then I put this slightly darker one here just in front of these, so that it looks slightly further forward, and then I blend it up there so it looks like there's a tree in the background. And then these bushes, these look like little misty bushes in the background and stuff to these, and that's why I've done that. What I can do with this, I can pick a bit of colour up on the brush and just use tiny circles like I showed you before, and I know I'm going to have a tree in there, you see, and then you can just blend that out there. Now I know that just underneath there I want it darker, so I'm going to go back to my other brush, and then just in there and in here where I'm going to have this tree, I just want to make it slightly darker. I know I'm going to have another layer there, you see, where I'm putting this dark. There's going to be another layer of trees, so I'm just putting this in as an indication for me, so that I can see where it's going. Just load a bit more colour onto my brush, just somewhere down there, and then that's going to blend down to nothing, straight down to black. So you notice it's getting from very light all the way down to very dark. That's because we're going to highlight and stuff on top of this eventually. Right. Good thing about these places, like rainforests and stuff like that, is the biodiversity of these places. They're full of all sorts of wildlife, and there's tons of different ecosystems just in the trees, just in the canopies. Each layer of these trees seems to hold different animals and different plants, and it's amazing. Really, really trips me up just to think about it. Right, I'm just going to use a really small brush now, just my little filbert brush, and that very light colour that I've made, see it there, the very lightest one, we're still into that because we're right in the background. So I'm going to tap into a small amount of that colour. With that, I know that I want a tree just in here. So for that tree, I'm just going to check it first. Now that's too strong at the moment, so as I tap it, it's going to mix with the liquid white. So that'll instantly make it lighter and lighter. I can actually tap this with quite a bit of pressure now, because I know where I'm wanting this tree to be. And then I can blend this out afterwards by tapping it. This just gives it the indication of where I want it to be. And then that's going to more or less mist out to nothing there, just in that corner. Just there. And then the more you tap, the more it mixes with the liquid white underneath. And then you get these lovely soft effects that I'm getting right now. That's it. Tap that colour out. I know the shapes that I want. There's particular shapes of trees in the rainforest. Now, this wants to get slightly darker as it goes down. So I'm still using the light colour, but I'm just putting a bit more colour on the brush. See that? Just by having slight bit more colour on the brush, it comes out darker because it's not mixed with the liquid white the same. Just in there, tap that out. Now I'm going to come back and blend this later in a short while, but that's sort of the effect that I'm going for. I know that that's going to come down there. Now we've got some trees that are going to go in front of that. Now, just in front of this one, just going into that same colour yet again, just here, I've got a tree that's a bit more distinct. Just there, so I'm using the same colour, just a bit more of it, and then I'll just tap that up in there. And then this, as you tap it, it will blend with the liquid white, and then I can actually make it go from this tree to look like it's in front of that one, in front of this tree here, but yet it's misting together. It's still misting together in there. Right, I'm just going to take the filbert brush that I've used to do these bushes here, and I'm just going to use that colour. I'm going to put just down in here a few little bushes and trees and shrubs and things like that. In fact, I'm just going to tap a bit of that colour out because it's a bit too dark for what I want. This wants to be muted. See that? I'm just mixing with the liquid white that's on the canvas, and it should look quite muted. There, that's what I'm after. Just some little bushes and shrubs and stuff in the mist, shrouded in the mist, just down in here. Stand out though, because this is much lighter as this. Don't tap too much colour in, you don't want a lot. You don't need a lot of colour at all for this. And that just wants to go up there slightly. See, I'm going to have a tree just in front of these bushes here, so that's why I'm doing this slightly lighter. You notice that when I put the colour on from this, I'm just using it muted and tapping it out, mixing it with the liquid white, and what that does, it just dilutes it, so you can mist it off towards the base. Just in there. We're going to have some darker areas and some lighter areas. I'm just looking at the picture, keep referring to the picture all the time. Now there's just a little bush just in here pretty close. Say a bush, if you were close to it, this would be a tree. This is far, far away as this. This is way off in the distance. There, just tapping that out. And then that's just going to mist off back there. Don't have it solid all the way across on this. You want it to be broken so that that misty effect still stays in there. Now I'm going to put a tree in front of this, so I want just some little bushes showing through underneath, as though they're behind this tree that I'm going to put in now. Right, so again tapping in the same colour. Now the colour that we're into is this one, but I'm using it muted. In other words, I've not got a lot of paint on the brush, and I'm allowing it to mix with the base coat all the time that I'm doing it. Just tap a bit of it out there sometimes, and that'll allow you to then go up here. I know where I want these trees to be. It's got to be a bit higher than this. So just about here. You've got to be brave. This is your little bravery test. And allow this to mix with the liquid white and it become muted. And you'll see what I mean. Why I'm doing this. This will look further back, because I'm letting it mix with the liquid white. I want it muted, but I don't want it too muted. So it's a balance. It's a balancing act. I'm just going to tap it out. Just in there, we'll have a nice one. If you tap too hard, it'll go too dark. Tap gentle, and then if you don't get enough, tap a tiny bit harder. You can gain control that way, rather than just blobbing on loads and regretting it later. Just going to put that in there, slightly darker again. Just don't have it all just one flat colour. Put a little bit of the sap green in with this, and then that green hue will just show through. Give it a really small hue of green, because this is further away. It doesn't need to be really green or like that. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. We just want a small amount of that green in there, just so that it looks slightly different to the background ones, and it's got a bit more definition to it. You can join that up a bit there. So there's a few little bits in between. We're going to put some sticks and tree trunks and stuff up to this. So right, and then just over here there's quite a big tree just coming over here. Now you notice I do the top of the tree solid, and then as I work into them, I'll leave little areas showing through, the light areas showing through. It's so important, because when I come back to putting my sticks and twigs in, my tree trunks and stuff in for these trees here, it will show through with the light in between the leaves, and it gives more depth to your trees. That goes out like so. And same thing all the way through, it's mixing, allowing it to mix with that liquid white. Maybe a little bit, something going just off there. There. Nice. I'm really enjoying doing this one. It's a buzz. This is a proper buzz. I know you didn't know where I was going at first, but I'm sure you've gathered now. Right, just a few little darker areas, just here and there again. You notice that green hue now? I hope you can see that. And then if I put a bit of that just down there. Now, I'm going to make a little bit more of this. It's a bit bigger than I've done it, is this tree, so I'm just going to make it a little bit more of it. Just in there. I want it to be slightly bigger. There. Now I can get a little bit of dark, and just in there I'm going to apply a little bit of dark just to give a bit of variation to the shadow tones. I've got a feeling that on there it will be slightly darker. See, that'll help the contrast with the light green that I've got on there, just a light little bit of dark. You notice though that it's still very muted. Very muted is this. There we go. Sorry about my heavy breathing, but this has been a real challenge for me, this one, so I'm loving it. Right, I've had to put some right effort in, but it's well worth it. Now I'm going to get some paint thinner. With that paint thinner, I'm just going to get some Van Dyke Brown, and a small amount of Midnight Black. Paint thinner, make it thin like ink. Show you that. Thin like ink there. really thin and just twizzle it through, just like I did for the background ones. Now this is getting a bit closer, is this now? So I still want it to be muted, so I'm going to put a small amount of white in with that, so it's not quite too dark. As we start, right, what I'm going to do, I'll just put these trees in. I'm just going to mix myself some vanilla brown with white, and then I'm going to just give it a tester first. Don't want too much paint on the brush because these are quite small, and I want to just comb from up here, swim up there, and I want to come predominantly down to there. Now reload my brush. Down in here it gets a bit bigger, so I'm going to go to about there. That's good. And then just keep reloading the brush. When you're working backwards and forwards with these paints, there are a lot of different things that you can do. See, like here, make them look gnarly. Also, these rainforest trees, they have a particular way that they grow, and you've got to somehow capture that. So it's like, you're better off studying rainforest before you try a painting like this. Have a look at as many images as you can, familiarise yourself with it. Once you're familiar with your subject, then I believe you can be at one with your subject. I'm just going to come down here. Gnarly old trunk. Nice. Now I want a few just up in here. That's that. Great stuff. You can really play with these details. Just behind there. Then we've got the hole. There we go. Now, as you're doing this, you can keep going backwards and forwards with the filbert brush, and just here and there, put some leaves on the tops, and you can, any lines that are a bit too harsh, you can just change slightly. I'm going to make that curl over a bit more. Nice one. That's looking good. So I'm just going to reload again. Always mixing my paint thinners with this colour. I have to constantly keep mixing that. Now this tree as well comes I'm not copying these trees exactly, I'm just getting a general idea of the shape and form, and then to be honest I'll just make it look as good as I can. If it looks right to me, generally I'll be happy. Don't fuss too much. So you can tend to over fuss and does it look right and this that and other, but once you've done it you can have a step back, look at it. If there's something you want to change, then you can just change it, it's no problem. No need to stress. It's all about enjoyment, is art. And one thing I will say, this is definitely enjoyable. This is something different, is this again. Just shows a variety of things that you can actually do with the wet on wet technique. I hope there's plenty of CRIs out there watching this thinking, ooh, I have to give that a go. Because I want to be seeing you all out there doing it. No problem, I've shown you here how easy it can be. It's not a beginner's painting, you know, this is not a bit for a beginner, but a qualified CRI could definitely tackle this one. Just going to put some little branches out to there, and then I think I'm going to again come back to my filbert brush, reload that, and then just put a little branch out there for it. Might even leave the top of that, just showing through. There. Oh, I like that. I really like that. Right, I'm just going to get it slightly darker so that I can just do this base of this tree and it'll stand out there. Got to make this paint thin so that it slides over the top of all this thick paint. If you don't make it thin enough, it won't slide. Right, I'm just going to see how these are leaning over a little bit to create the illusion of this valley. This is a valley, and by having them leaning over slightly, it creates that illusion of the valley being there. Been a good workout as this, as you can probably tell from my heavy breathing. I'll be honest with you, I've always been a heavy breather anyway. When I used to do my Thai boxing and that, you should have heard me then. Used to make a right racket. I was very physically fit, but just always been a strong breather. Right, I know that I'm going to cover part of that up. I'm going to come back here, you see, with this colour. Bit of sap green to it, and I'm just going to come back with these bushes that are here, and I'm just going to chop that off basically, just about there. So I know these are going to go quite a bit higher than I've got them. That's why I did them that low, just to give me an indication where I want. Right, I've just got some of this colour down here. I'm going to tap a bit of it out. And then I'm going to just come over in here. Now this area here that's dark, this is like where there's a big hill with a lot of trees on. So I'm just going to indicate very gently some of them trees in there. And then from where they are, I'm going to do like I did down here and blend them out. So I'll blend it back. Put it in there so you can see it's in, and then blend it back so it goes almost to nothing. There's something just there. This is again, it's further back than these. These are sat back there in the mist, these little trees. These are very subtle effects. It's going to be tough for you to see on TV, but when I do a zoom in, then you will see everything I'm doing. You can see how I'm reloading, not too often. I'm tapping the paint out when I'm reloading, and I'm making sure I don't get too much in there, because I still want it to look misty in there, you see. I'm going to have another tree in front of this. So these type of rainforests and stuff like that, you tend to find all sorts of wildlife in them. You find gibbons and all sorts of monkeys, and you find all sorts of snakes, stuff like fer-de-lance, which is a type of pit viper. There's all sorts of wonderful things. That's why I really love places like this. I'd love to be able to go to somewhere like this. That would be amazing. Just tap a bit of sun indication just down in there. Now just here, it's getting lighter. I'm just going to be gentle and tap a bit softer, because I don't want it to stand out too much. I just want that to be in there a bit. I'll do a bit darker just there. Right. Now I'm going to go back to my liner brush for a short while. I'm just going to get that same brown that I used before for these trees, but it's a bit lighter than that really. So I'm just going to go up in there. I'm just going to put a few little trunks and stuff that you can see in there. It's growing up. These are like little trees that are just growing and sitting back in here. Sometimes when you go over them, naturally, as well as putting the paint on there, you can actually take the paint off. More little indications and stuff in. Anything I don't like, I'll just tap it out with these sticks and twigs. It's a really good way of doing it actually, and it means you don't have to be too bothered really. Because all you don't like, you can just tap it away. You've got an eraser-made brush. You have total amount of freedom with this, you don't have to worry at all. Now, that's an indication. See how I've overdone it, and it's too much. So just come back in here, just tap with this brush. Pick up a bit of that colour sometimes from down there, and then tap it back up again. That's it. That's what I mean by an eraser-made brush. See? And then it's suddenly gone. And you're back to what you started with. Just going to tap in there a tiny little bit. Just in there. That makes it look a bit lighter. Yeah. Now you can see those little sticks and twigs in there. These don't want to be too distinct though. They want to be really sat in the background, to be honest. There. A few little bits and bobs. Give them there. When you start getting the colour mixing with the liquid white, then you can go into the light areas and put some indications in there. Great stuff. Again, I'll just go back to that colour, but I'm going to put a tiny amount of sap green with it, so it's a tad greener now, a little bit greener, and then I'll just do that and tap some more of that colour in there for the leaves. See how we kept it quite muted still though. It's not really strong in that green. It gets brighter as it comes forward. So as these are still in the background, you just need a hint of that green. That's what people tend to do a lot of time. They put too much colour on, ruin the effect. You want that to be very, very subtle. You notice it's getting darker and more solid as I'm coming down to the bottom now. Tap it in so that it mixes with that base coat of lavender or mauve, whatever. It tends to look a bit bluer at the moment than it actually is. This is more mauve than it looks actually on the camera, so you will see that. I will show you that later. Right, I'm going to reload and I'm going to go into a much darker colour this time. Tap my brush, and then just in here is this tree here. I'm just going to go in there and create a little bit of something extra there. Darken it off slightly because it needs to be darker than these now. So again, it's dark colour, but it's got the sap green in it still. Keep going backwards and forwards. If there's not enough green, go get a bit of green. There. That's what we're after. Now you can see now how much darker that is. There we go. Love it. Now that will bring these bushes and trees that we do in here forward. Just in this area here, I want it to look quite dark. So I'm just going to put some dark areas in. That's why I left them other areas light, so I could come back in with this dark. And then just curl that off on there just a tad. And maybe a little bit down in there, as though you can see some leaves against that dark, light. Just in there. This is really dark now because I'm going to highlight these. I'll put some little highlights on them, so they need to be darker than this area. This is a big tree that's just coming down here, and then we've got some other trees and bushes which we've got here. So I'll just make them a bit darker. Again, we're just going back and forwards between the darks and the lights, making sure it's getting darker as we come forward. Right, with this green, I'm just going to put some Indian yellow, just to change the flavour a bit, so they're not all just the same. Remember, you can, if it's too bright, like I started it there and it was too bright, I want it a bit darker than that. Just tap it there and then work away. Now this is perfect now. That's exactly how I'm wanting it, not too bright and not too dark. And I can go back to that bright area and just tap some of that colour out and let it mix with the base coat. By doing that, don't get too bright on you, because this wants to be quite dark, so I'm going to have some brighter things in the foreground. I just want this to be quite dark. Maybe there's another part of this tree just down here. And there's two trees down here. As you're running out of paint, we want to get darker towards the base, so I'll just tap them out a bit towards the base so they're not quite as bright. Down there, bit of colour, that's all that's needed. Little yellow ochre into that colour. Sap green. I'll change the flavour yet again. And then maybe just down in here, I'll use that. See, again, I'm going to use the majority there. Then now it's tapped to where I'm just going to put a few little indications of one just tucked behind there. And then it shadows down to shadow. Don't kill your shadows. So important to save them shadows, it's crucial. crucial style here. Anyway, these little bushes and stuff now, little trees that I'm doing at the bottom, they'll just show through because I'm going to put some more trees here. So these will hopefully just show through under the trees when I put the limbs in and stuff. Just tack that towards the base a bit. Isn't quite right. Starting to get there. Maybe just make that a bit bigger. If you lose too much of the dark, you can go back to your brush with the dark on, and you can just go back into that. And you can just reintegrate some of the dark, because we don't want that too bright. And then you can go back to your highlight colours, and then just reintegrate them. There, that's how I wanted it. Right, tiny little bit in there maybe. Right, we're going to put a load of trunks and stuff in here soon, so I'm just getting the majority of these bushes and trees in first. I'll do the hard graft first, preparation, and then the easy stuff can come later, the icing on the cake job. Can't beat a bit of this. Wet on wet is one of the best ways to do a rainforest or a tropical scene, definitely. The beauty is with being able to mix the paint on the canvas. No other technique where that can happen. Putting a bit of green in there. Don't always have to be really sharp. Change it up now and again, so it's slightly different every now and again. Bit of variety on it. Right, maybe you concentrate on this colour and bring that in front, just there. Just on the tippy tops I want to highlight that. And then them little indications will show through later. Now I'm running out of a bit of paint, I'm just going to come up in here because I don't want many indications in there. I just want a few highlights. Still pretty far away that. Little sparkles here and there, a few little sparklers on it. Just touching them bushes just there. There's little lights just glimmering through. But don't overkill this, don't overkill it. Just a right small amount. A few bushes in there, trees. That'll probably be covered up. Right. I know these look pretty dark at the moment, but I really want them to, I can't afford for these to get too bright. You'll see when I get the brighter ones in the foreground why I'm doing that. Right, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to use my liner brush. I'm going to do some work with my liner brush now. Straight on that brown and paint thinner, bit of midnight black, just so it's a good dark brown, and then we're going to load the brush with a good amount of paint. I'm going to come up in here and we're going to put a nice tree trunk just up in here. I hope you can see this. This is really hard to show you this. It's sort of like going it with a camera. Basically I want this to come right through. You can see there where I've made it stand out with the dark brown. Now that needs to come through here. Keep reloading so you've got plenty of paint on your brush. And then it's going to get slightly fatter as it goes down. And now, because it's still dark there, I'm just going to touch into my white. Maybe just highlight one side. Just like so. Just highlighting that one side. And then that's pretty dark, we want that to stay pretty dark. And nice one. Right, what I've done, I've just put camera at a different angle, because I know you were having trouble. I couldn't see it on the camera when I was looking, but these trees that I've put up here, there's one tree there, there's one there, they're right in the background and they're really misty. Now I've tried to set the angle so that you can see them. You can see top of one just over there, and then these are a little bit closer. I will do a zoom in at the end anyway for you to see them, but anyway, let's get going. I'm just going to use my little liner brush. I'm going to use Van Dyke Brown, a small amount of Midnight Black. In fact, I'm going to bring that over because I'm going to need quite a bit of terps with this. I'm going to mix a good pile of it up. I'm going to show you anyway. So, just get plenty of terps out. There you can see that. Get plenty of terps out, loads of it. Into Van Dyke Brown, into Midnight Black. Now, I want this to be thin, but it doesn't want to be too thin. It's a balancing act. Getting it thin enough, but not too thin. So I'm just running that through there, like so. And then I'll load the brush. Twizzle it through the paint and it'll load the brush. And then I'm going to come up in here, and just where this tree is, I'm going to paint some little branches. Trying to not make them straight. I want these to be quite gnarly, these branches and stuff here. You get a lot of this in Amazon rainforest where these trees, this is the canopy that I'm doing now, it's the main canopy, but they do have some really nice form and shape to them. That's it. So I'm just basically trying to block the dark colour in at the moment, and then I will go back later, because this is a bigger trunk. I'll go back later and highlight it. Just want to get this paint down in here. This is where it'll start to come together now, this painting. You see what everything that I've been doing and why I've been doing it. Just want some nice variety in here. Think about form and shape with these branches that you're doing. Now, see, it's mixing slightly with the with the liquid white, but that's fine. It's not a problem in the slightest in that. Right, I'm just giving myself a guide to where I want this to go. Somewhere like there, So now I'll load my brush. I've just done that to mark it out, and then what I'll do is I'll come back and then make sure it gets bigger and bigger as it gets away. Just down here, that's got to support all the weight of all this. So it's got to be quite a bit thicker. Nice. And then maybe just up in here, put a few like little trunks, sticks and twigs and all them kinds of things in. Just out here I think I'm going to put a branch on its own. This is like Bob Ross would do, just stick a tree right in the middle of it. But this one, it's going to actually set all the background back. It's going to push it back, is this. That's why I'm doing this tree trunk dark and all these are dark, light out in the background. These are going to be quite small now up in here, so you've got to think about that. Only really want to be big when they're away from that. I know this painting's took quite a time, but people have been asking for me to show everything, every little thing, so that's what I'm going to do. I've not missed nothing out on this. Everything I've done on this canvas you've seen. See that? Just let them come out, just branch them off. Little forks in them. Keep loading your brush regular. Again, like I said, this is going to come down here and it's going to get slightly bigger as it comes down. Make it really big just there at the base. That's supporting all that weight of all these branches and leaves. As I say, we will come back and highlight this later, so there we go. So branch one off from here. It comes down there. Oh yes. I just love painting these trees like this, you know. You've got to take your time and be patient, but it's very worthwhile doing. Your patience will be paid. See, the wet on wet technique is a quick technique to do, so why not spend more time doing the real things that matter, like the intricacies of the tree and everything. Just in here I've got a branch that's snapped, so I just leave it like that. That's just snapped off. Maybe some sort of gibbon or something's been jumping around on it. Right? Just want to make this a bit darker because I'm going to keep this dark in silhouette, that branch. And then again some more little branches and stuff up in here. So now there's this here, so I'm just going to put a tiny little branch out for that. The main thing of importance I find on these is making sure that they always tail off nice and thin on the end. As long as they tail off nice and thin on the end. Right, I'm just zooming in on this tree for you, because what I'm going to do, I'm just going to highlight it. So I just wanted to zoom in on that so that you can see it properly. Just going to go into some, this is the tree we've just done. So I'm going to go into some Van Dyke brown, a small amount, pull that out, and then I'm going to go into some titanium white. Don't want this too bright. Just want to get a bit of kitchen roll. Sometimes when you get the terps on your brush, you get a bit of terps on there and it can slip a bit. And I don't want that, I want total control. So I'll just take that off. Right then. So with this colour, I'm just going to come up in here. And then here and there, I'm just going to touch the right hand side of the tree trunk with some of that colour. Just the right hand side though. Same in there a bit. And then what you can do, you can go back to a bit of the dark colour and you can actually blend that back. Like that. So there's a bit of the black there, but just a bit of the highlight on the right hand side. There we go. So I'm just going to go down again, and then just down in here, I'll highlight that side. While I've got this paint on the brush, I'm just going to put a few bits more highlights in. See, I'm not too worried at first, because I know that when this paint runs out, like now it's starting to run out a little bit, I can come back and blend it with this brush. Actually blend it out so it's graduated nicely from the highlight to the dark. There, a few little indications. Same thing up here, and pull that highlight through there. I want this to stay still pretty silhouette, you know. Don't want to lose it completely. If you make this too light, it won't work. Maybe put a bit more brighter highlight just in there. Always just stepping back and having a look. Get a bit of the Van Dyke brown, dark Van Dyke brown. This is the dark colour again. And then just here and there, where you put that, you can go behind it and put some dark back in. Maybe there's a little one coming off there. So you can turn one trunk into loads of trunks, no problem. So we've just got that bit of highlight that we was wanting. Right. We go back to my dark again. This dark colour, you need it on the back edge. This back edge here needs the dark highlight. Keep that good and dark on that back edge, and then you can actually blend that forward just a little bit into the highlight that you put on there. It's really worth spending time doing these little things, because when you finish, the effects that you get are amazing. Oh wow, that's exactly what I was trying to get. And I put a dark side on that. Nice. Right, I'm just going to zoom it back out again for you so I can do the rest of the painting. I've no cameraman today, so I've had to do this. That should be okay about there. So I'll just clean this brush out, it'll be a second. And I'm going to just go to a 1-inch brush, and I'm going to get Midnight Black, Sap Green, same colours we've used throughout for the trees. This is just the base colours, again dark on dark. Just going to put a bit of that, not a lot, just a bit, just in there. Bit of colour, so that when I highlight there's something for it to mix to. And then I'm going to have something just here, so I'll darken that off, so I've got some nice darkness in these bushes here and a bit of colour just there. And then it comes right up in there a little bit. Right, so now I've got a tiny bit of that colour on the brush already. I'm just going to go into cadmium yellow, straight cad yellow, and maybe a smidgen more sap green. I'm just referring tiny bit of white in with that as well. Certain colours you can, normally you won't mix white with green, but to get certain colours you need to, this is a green that I know I need a bit of white with it. So then I'm just going to come up in here and just up in here and start to highlight some of these trees. Maybe there's a little bit of one just going behind that trunk. Some might even, you could even make it just go in front of it like so. There we go. And we've already got this colour up here, so I'm just going to highlight the tops of this. Push and get a ridge. Remember how I've shown you in the past, I'm going to do it again. You pull the brush through the paint and you tap, and as you're tapping you push and get that ridge on the top edge of the brush. And then just up in here it's really easy to just come in and highlight these. Don't be scared of this. Just using the corner, just the corner of the brush. I'm not using the whole of it. Right, reload. If you don't reload regular, you'll start mud mixing. You've got to have fresh paint on there, otherwise it won't work. Maybe just do the tops of that. Put a bit of green in. There. But by having the bristles open, that's what creates these gaps in between your leaves. Now, a lot of people smudge that together and they lose the dark. Remember, when you're working like this, you want to retain your darks, and that will give your tree more depth. So, just a bit in there. So easy to do though, you know, a big 1-inch brush. Just go in and just tap in these highlights, no problem. Afterwards I might just go in with a knife and do the odd thing, but to be honest, these have turned out so well, I don't even think I'd bother. It all depends on how they turn out. This one's slightly more in silhouette, so I'm just going to touch the very tip top of that. I don't want to touch anything else on it, because I want it to stay dark and it'll give that lovely contrast. Right, just in here, we've got a load of trees that are just coming out into the canopy. But they've got to be brighter. This is why I've kept this so dark, so that now when we put these highlights on, they stand out. That's a totally intentional thing. Reload again. I had to remix some paint there because I've run out of paint. You can't paint if there's no paint on the palette. Just in there. Do these brushes in layers. Nice little layers. Yeah. Right, just keeping going with this. Put a few more highlights in just there. And also, I think what I'll do, I'll use my, if I can find it yet, liner brush. And I'm just going to get a bit more dark. And I think I want this trunk to still go through like it did before. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a bit of paint on my brush, a bit of dark. Then I'm going to come back in here, following where it was before. A bit of dark still. Doesn't matter that there's that green on there, that's irrelevant. And then start on this edge. There. Now all I've done basically is replace the brown. I want it to look like it's in front of the leaves, not behind them. And that does the job fine. In fact, the green has mixed with the brown and gives us highlight back again as well. So that's works brilliant. You get bits of moss and stuff anyway growing on tree trunks, especially in the rainforest. Right, I'll just clean that out. Always clean your palm liner brush out straight after using it. Always. It's crucial. It's a crucial part of it. So, let me think. Right then, I'm going to go to my filbert brush, little filbert brush. I'm going to get midnight black colour. It's a small amount of white. Now, normally I wouldn't do this, but for this one, I really want this to be there, so I'm just going to mix that colour up, same as these trees. I'm going to go back into the background again, slightly, because I think I want a bit more something going on there. So I'll just try that. Try it somewhere like, it's hard for me to show you this, somewhere like there. I'll just try it out. That's a little bit too dark still for what I'm wanting. So it's a bit too dark, put a bit of white with that. That will be more like it. And then I'm going to come up somewhere in here. This hardboard's a bit bendy, so I'm going to be a bit careful. I'm just marking it out for the time being. Again, this is quite a muted colour. You can always integrate a bit more dark later if I choose. Let me think. Maybe a little top part to that, just sat in there. That's just going to be coming off of the canvas basically, straight off the canvas. So I'm going to use my liner brush, go back into the brown, and just in here, this is the brown which has got a bit of white with it. Also, I'm going to come up in there and I'm just going to paint the tree trunk coming off like so. Maybe a small amount of something just up in there. You might not see that, but I'm going to put it in anyway. You can see that because it light background makes it stand out. Yeah, just to bits. It's been a real eye opener as this painting. There's no like painting rainforest. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Maybe should have a little bit of something forking off from below that, which is pretty sparse and got no leaves on it. And maybe like so. Put a little bit of something on that, I think. Go back to my colour again. Just up in there, I'll touch a bit of something on that branch. There. Now that's just sitting out there, so there's a little bit of something just coming off. When I take the tape off, you'll see why I've done that. Also, with that same brush, I'm just going to give it a quick clean out. Take the majority of the dark colour off. And there's still a tiny bit of thinners in with that, so I'll mix that with the yellow and the green. tap into it, and then just back here I want to do one that's a little bit closer than these. So this is slightly brighter. Once I start running out of a bit of paint I can tap a bit faster then, but at first I'm pretty cautious. I don't want to lose the dark, so just tap it at a gentle rate until it's somewhere near what you want. Right, reload. Yeah, that's it. That's just going to stand out a little bit from there. Leave a shadow just under there. Right, I'm going to leave that at that. And then I'm back to my big brush again, my 1 inch. I'm going to pull out some Indian yellow with that colour. So it's got a slightly different hue to it this time. It's been made with Indian yellow. Just want you to remember that. Tap, get a ridge. And where I'm looking, we've got, I like these trees here, so I don't want to destroy them. So I'm just going to come in here, start it there. It actually starts a bit further over on the painting itself, on the picture I'm copying off, but I want to tailor this to my needs. Just in there. This is the canopy again. All the time now, it makes it look like you're looking down onto the forest, and that's what we're trying to achieve. There. Comes along there a bit. Just about there. See, at the moment I'm just concentrating about the top edge. Couldn't care less underneath, because I know that underneath I can just gently tap and then that'll blend down. And then if you want to do a few layers, you can just make a little layer a bit brighter and then bring that off of the edge there maybe. Leave some dark so, because we're going to come back and we're going to put some highlights in these now. So I'm just going to go back to my brown, white, just my basic colours, and then up in here, someone at the door, not good timing. Hey, I'm just filming. And I'm just going to put these branches in.
Have you got volume?
Yeah. Just finish these off. I'm nearly done this painting. When I've finished it, I'll give you a nice zoom in so that you can see it. Putting these little branches in that holding this canopy up. Right then, I'm going to use that same colour that I've got there, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to touch the tip of this into crimson. Put a little bit of cad yellow over it just to brighten it slightly, just like that. And then I'm going to actually push the tip of the brush into crimson. Can you see that? The tip has just gone into crimson. And then I can come in here and put some little flowers that are on the top of this tree, just in here. Just using the corner of the brush and then gently tapping, and these little flowers will come out. With the green, pull that colour out again, get a bit of green on the brush and then tip into crimson again, and then just in there we'll have a bit of crimson in there. It's like little red flowers, little tiny flowers that are on these trees, just in that corner. There we go. That's nice. Right, I'm going to go back to my yellows and my green. I'm going to tap into that. Push, get a ridge again. Open up the bristles a bit as I do it. And then just here and there I'm going to put some nice brighter highlights. Just ones that are a little tiny bit brighter. Just in there. tiny little bit of white sometimes with that. Little finishing touches now that I'm doing. Not far off done in this one. I'm just going to show you the reveal as well, and zoom in on it for you. That's, yes, just a bits of how it's turned out. Right, well, I hope you've liked this painting. Just going to pull the masking tape off, see what it looks like. Moment of truth. That's one. Successful. Hopefully this will be two. Come on. There we go. Always when you're doing this, pull it away. If you pull it from there, that angle, it could tear. If you just pull it away like that, that's the way to do it. Perfect. And then pull this. And we're very, very nearly there. Once I've done this, I'll try and give you a quick zoom in. Hope I've got time. There we go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this painting. I've enjoyed demoing it for you. I think it's a little bit of something different, something totally new, unique, and something you're not going to see very regular. So let's have a zoom in. I'm just going to zoom into the background first. You can see there the trees in the background as I zoom in. There's a slight bit of blue in the sky there, and then it goes to yellow where the sun is, so all the highlights are coming from the right hand side. That's why. And then we've got the middle ground trees, which we have done. All these darker trees which made the canopy look deep in there. And then we've got these foreground trees, which are at the top of the canopy again. And then we've got these bushes and this lovely tree that we've put up there. Right, we'll have a good look at that. Anyway, this is my painting of the Amazon rainforest. I hope you've enjoyed this demo. This one, this area as well, this place, one of my subscribers lives here. That would be Bird of Paradise. So this one's for you. Take care, and I'll see you later.